From here, we are going to want to go into the logic tree to determine the functionality of our system. So in order to get there, we're going to want to go to the top and hit this logic tree button, which will bring you to this view here. So what you're first going to want to do is hit this Add Node button. This will create a new state. It will follow your mouse until you left click to drop it within your space, and then it will transform into whatever the name of the most up-to-date state you have is. So if I make a second one, you will see it still says new state. When I left click, it will then drop and update between state 0 to state 1 because of how it has been created. You can also add a transition for which you select an origin. So you would click one location of the gray box. So this is where it would be going from state 0. And then click to where it is going by hitting the box on the left side. This will create a transition between the two, as well as a line between them, which you then move and space out as you desire, creating this transition between the two. You are able to rename your states by clicking here, or by hitting this button in the upper left-hand corner to change the name. So in this case, I'm going to do introduction. And over here, I'm just going to go with actions. Okay, so with that, I have made my state actions between which it will go through, as well as a transition. You are able to add or delete these at any point in time by hitting the Add Node and Add Transition buttons. If you ever accidentally have created anything that you did not mean to, you can hit the X button to delete them, which will remove the parts in question. And you can create new ones whenever you feel like to replace them. You are able to rename them in the same, and you are able to add these functionalities to each by going through them here. So quickly going through what actions can be done within a state will be done here. What state you are starting your simulation at is determined based off of this entry state entry right at the top here. So if you want the simulation to start at state 0, you would leave it as is, or if you want to start at state 1, it would do so here. And then based on the flowchart that you are going to be making through this, will determine what actions will be taking place. So to start with, let's just go with what the types are. Translate, and as you create them, you can see them being added here on your state action here. So translate lets you move an object from its current location to a target location at a given speed. Rotate is the same, where you can pick an object, rotate it using either a global or local axis, and determine what its new orientation should be at the end of the action. Wait just kind of adds a pause between any actions that will take place, and until the wait duration is over, nothing else will happen. Set attribute lets you determine an object, or a variety of pieces and objects. Find the object in question and change any of its default or customized attributes. This is very useful if you're trying to change whether something can or cannot be grabbed, is kinematic, or anything else. And by going through this process, you're able to control lots of information being displayed or shown to the user at any given time. Highlight will let you have an object highlighted or not to the user for the purposes of the simulation. Display message will make it so that when you type out an information, it will show up to the user either as text, as spoken dialogue, or both. Some objects may have animations on them, which you may want to play to show the user at any given time. You would just simply find an object with an animation on it, and based on the animation you are playing, it will then play. And if the wait until animation is finished is selected, you know that no actions will take place until the animation is finished playing. For example, if I use this play audio function, which is a bell chime, which I can preview the sound here at this volume of 1, I know that it will wait for my person here to finish his greetings before playing this bell chime. Whereas if I deselect this, he will start doing his greeting and the bell chime will play immediately after. The bell chime, or the play audio function, lets you choose from a variety of audio sounds that are built into our system, which you can then choose the volume to be played at between 0 and 1. So this will be played at half volume or full volume. And you can preview whatever sound it is selected there and determine whether the sound is to be played after a delay or immediately upon reaching this action. Spawner lets you take objects that are within your space, and when this happens, it will create a new one, and what amounts it will function as, and let you essentially create duplicates of objects within your area for your player. This is very useful if, say, you're trying to make I could say like a basketball game, and you want the user to have a large amount of balls from which they can create to utilize for the purposes of shooting into a hoop. If you need to present your user with a multiple choice question, use the Q multiple state. You can choose whether it's a multiple choice or single choice quiz, and then you can expand the questions here. You can type in a name or for the question. And then you can type in the answers and add as many of these as you would like. And you can choose which ones are correct or incorrect, or you can have none of them be correct if you would like it to just be a free response which you are not evaluating. After Q multiple, we have go to sim. I cannot demonstrate this right now, but what this does is it lets you prompt the user if they would like to go from their current simulation into another one that you have access to. And you would do so by selecting the sim from this list here and making it so that the user could go to another simulation. From this method, you're able to connect multiple simulations together in sequence or in whatever pathing you would like to. If you have a video you would like to display to the user, you are able to upload one here by hitting the upload button, choosing a file and navigating to it within your hierarchy here, and then the video will be playing to the user in the simulation. If you want the user to be able to skip the video, so should they decide they don't want to view the video that you've shown them, by making this is skippable option available, an X button will appear in the upper right-hand corner when the video is playing, which the user can select to stop the video playing at any time. Otherwise, if this is not selected, they will need to wait for the completion of the video before they will be able to move on with the simulation. Next is the feedback information. So you can, with the feedback, you can either show the feedback panel, which will showcase all the information that you have accumulated up to this point, which is going to be the amount of time the simulation is taken, all feedback logs, which is just information that is here, said the phrase, or anything else. Feedback logs are like display messages that will only show up when the user has, or when they have reached a show feedback panel state. Timers can be created to mark progress between actions, and then stopped with the end timer function. So for example, if I hit start timer, I now have it, and it is one that goes up. I can then end it with the end timer function, so that when the user has gone through this, I know that the timer has ended. Typically, you would put these on different time or on different state actions so that you would know how much time it took them to go from one state to another. You're able to mark this timer through the system. Timers can be of increment or decrement type. If it is decrement, you will need to give it a starting time to begin counting down from, which must first be reset. And then you can type in how many hours, minutes, or seconds that the user has for the given action. Okay. And the decrement or either timer can be displayed to the user through environments throughout there. Okay, continuing on. The speak action. Sorry about that. The speak action lets you select a virtual person in question, give them a voice. So in this case, I'm just going to go with Justin, and type in words for the individual in question. You can choose whether they will have a random animation or a specific talking animation, or no animation whatsoever, and whether or not you want them to finish speaking before the action is done. And you can preview the voice that you selected with the person by hitting this button here.
Hi there.
You can type in whatever you would like, and by going through this, you're able to create turn-by-turn dialogue with your virtual people. Other virtual person controls are here, where if you want a virtual person to be looking at the player or at a object or person, you can select it through the system here. And if you want them to stop, you would use the same function where rather than this would start the virtual person from looking at someone, you would simply turn it off. Sometimes there are transition effects that you would like to utilize, such as fading to black or fading in or out. This is where you would utilize them with the transition effect function. If you have a checklist item, you are able to manage them here, where this is displayed to a user based off of information on a checklist. We're able to add or remove items from a checklist. You can manage the items through here to see what the total items possible on the list are. You may sometimes be utilizing particle controller or particles within your system. With this, you have the ability, if you have a particle effect, so I have some particles of some chips flying. So if I go to my logic tree here and I were to find these particle chips flying, I could, for the particle effect, play it, stop, pause, clear, stop, or just for the effect itself. This lets you control the way that it functions. Just going to quickly delete that. Sometimes you may be utilizing our visual coding functions. If they exist, you would simply hit create, and you would find an object with this on them. None of these have them though. And you could utilize them here, which would start or stop the functionality being executed on there. The animation state transition gives you greater control over the functionality of your person. You can have them sitting down or laying down in various poses, which will change what actions they currently have available to them based on what pose they are in. For example, the talking while sitting functions will be different than talking when standing or talking while laying down, as well as give them different things available to them. So you can change the orientation or position of a person. If through your simulation you want a camera following an entity as it moves throughout the space so the player is aware of it, you are able to add a follow camera. Select the distance, whether it's at low, middle, or high distance from the target in question. And the last action that you have here is the animation controller, which lets you utilize specific actions on the object in question, except for rather than being only for virtual people, it could be on virtual objects as well if they had animator controllers on them, which none of these do. So with that, you're able to go through this and have greater control of your animations of your objects if they are uploaded with them. Now you may have noticed as I was doing this, I was rearranging and deleting objects. This is done by clicking this little icon here, which lets you move your state actions around without having to delete everything above it, or just kind of rearrange them. And if you'd like, you can delete any state actions by hitting the X button here in the upper right-hand corner. And that completes the basics of the state actions.